Part 2 to the scariest Christmas urban legend that I have ever heard. After Hans made his way out to the woods, he slowly became something that was unrecognizable. Once his beautiful fine clothes had rotted away, he started to stuff himself with straw in order to keep him warm. Arms, legs, hat, and over time he started to look something more like a scarecrow rather than a man. Something inside this man snapped, and he had no interest in scaring birds. Hans developed a hunger specifically for children, and he would hide among the trees with his straw-stuffed body and stand there as if he was lifeless, just watching as children from local towns began to be picked up one by one. After my parents were done their little storytelling, I did not believe them. One of the days that I was working on the farm, one of the sheep ran into the woods. My boots were crunching on the frozen ground. I was just telling myself, there's no such thing as Hans Trap. There's no such thing as Hans Trap. But the forest was a little silent, almost too silent. And that's when I saw it, a scarecrow by a tree with its head drooped forward, straw poking out of the sleeves and collar. Could have almost sworn that it was breathing, but it couldn't be. Before I could even run, it snapped up, two gleaming eyes staring at me. He lunged forward, his straw limbs creaking as he snatched me up. He literally threw me over his shoulder like a sack of grain. I screamed, but I was so deep in the forest at this point that nobody could hear me. He carried me deep into the forest until we got to a place that was covered with bones of the missing kids. Tied me up as he muttered to himself and prepared a sharp blade. Whenever he approached me, I was able to get a good look at him. He grinned and his teeth were jagged, almost like broken glass. I kept crying out for anyone who might hear me, anyone at all. Right as he was about to make me his next meal, the skies opened up. Lightning bolt came down from the sky and struck Hans right where he was at. I closed my eyes while it was happening, but then right whenever the smoke cleared, I saw Hans' charred, lifeless body. Hans' story obviously doesn't end there, because it's said that every Christmas his spirit still wanders these woods, will seek out naughty children. Some even say that on quiet winter nights you can still hear the rustling of straw, watching and waiting. If you're ever out in the woods on a snowy night and you see a scarecrow that is standing just a little too still, don't look too closely, and whatever you do, don't misbehave. Also, don't look too closely at this makeup look either, because it's a mess. To me, this urban legend is just so much worse than Krampus. Cannibalistic scarecrow out in the middle of the woods just watching you seems just a little bit worse than getting spanked with a birch branch. But like any urban legend, there's always some truth to it. So how much of Hans' story is actually true?